The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, proudly presented to you by Draftkings Sportsbook. Download the top-rated app and sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook. Use code RTRS. Brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process, and Stateside Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. On the show today, a new coaching candidate, Ben Simmons, gets an award. A Sixers front office person might be gone. The Sixers don't get their fucking arena, which is lovely. We've got a contest that we promised a while ago where you can win a pair of autographed Embiid ones from Under Armor. They come out September 18th. Yep. Jimmy Butler in the conference finals, whether Joe and Simmons are really top 15 players, whether we remember Robert Covington wrong. These are all mailbags. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, I think. What you would say to Adam Silver on vacation, and more Chris Paul rumors. Sign up for the Bark in the Park team for Providence Animal Center. We're raising money. We're up to $2,700. If we don't raise $10,000, all the animals go free, and they're homeless, and they roam the streets. That's what happens if we don't raise
Go free sounds good, though.
Yeah. Yeah, go free is wrong, right? Because they're not being held captive. They're being given homes.
That's the wrong message.
Yeah, whatever it is, we want them to have homes. Sign up for the team. If you raise $50, you get the T-shirt, or you can just donate. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, a guy that looks really just fucking handsome when Abby draws him. That is Mike Levin.
I might change myself to identify with that one picture that guy had commissioned.
Yeah, and Neil Gray is a Ricky listener, also a hat enthusiast from Australia, and commissioned Abby to draw a picture of the three of us together.
And seemingly insisted that I look really hot.
Yeah.
So thanks to Neil and Abby.
Abby has historically drawn us both very attractive. I don't know if
she's doing us a favor.
Yeah.
She could definitely,
if she sees us that way, or
that's
if,
right.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Yeah. I think it's like I can't. There's the scrap paper versions of us that are just like this one has bags under his eyes. What am I doing with this weird bone?
This he's in his mid-40s. He's wearing flat brim hats and hoodies. What's going on here? Before we get started, a reminder that Scott O'Neill is still the CEO of the Sixers after overseeing the Jerry Colangelo fiasco, Burnergate, and team collaboration. Mm-hmm. There has still been no meaningful change in the Sixers front office after they said 2 weeks ago that they'd be doing a deep dive and making major changes.
They're seriously evaluating things. They're taking a hard look.
Yep.
They're looking at themselves in the mirror. They're not wearing any clothes.
Yep.
They're just like staring at themselves in the mirror. They're crying in front of the mirror and ultimately deciding that I want to keep my job. And if I admit someone else is to blame, then I'm also to blame.
Right.
So they're essentially chaining themselves
to each other,
to each other and to the Wells Fargo Center, so that if you fire one of them, you fire all of them. So they're here to stay. They're holding us hostage. They are hostage and holding us hostage.
And the third thing I brought up before we got started last time was that the Sixers are still looking to ruin Penn's Landing with this new sports arena that they want the public to pay for. But Mike, that part is fucking over.
Yeah. We dodged that bullet thanks to Helen Gim.
Yep.
What is the opposite of the The Ricky bump is when people come on the podcast and then they do a good job.
Yeah.
What is the opposite of that for the Sixers? Not coming on the podcast and us thwarting their plans.
I don't know. The Ricky divot, is it? I don't know.
Like a divot.
Divot?
Yeah.
So the Delaware River...
The Stauskas.
Yeah, yeah, poor Stauskas. The first active Sixer to come on the Ricky. Didn't work out for him. So the, what was it? The Delaware River, the Delaware River, it's DRWC, Delaware River something commission. Anyway, so they're looking to build up Penn's Landing, which is a shame that it isn't built up. And they took bids from all these different places. And the city decided they would rather go with a company that is connected to them. A likely murderer than the Sixers.
That's fine.
Yeah. So the Sixers, it turns out, so the Sixers get turned down. The Durst organization put in a $2.2 million bid that looks like it will be more what they were looking for with.
Wait, it's really Robert Durst's thing?
It's the Durst family. So I don't know how like directly connected it is. I don't want to do that because, you know,
Sure.
the family connection thing, you could be not
Close to home for
guilty at
you,
all.
of
Yeah,
course.
for everyone.
I worked with some writers who grew up like close to that family also.
Oh, really?
Weird, very bizarre.
Yeah. So the big difference between what the Durst organization wants to do and what Harris Blitzer wanted to do, aside from the fact that Harris Blitzer wanted to put a giant indoor sports arena that would be empty 200 days out of the year on the waterfront,
I don't see a problem.
is that the Sixers were asking for an $800 million subsidy from the city to do it. And the Durst organization was looking for, do you want to guess how much?
I hope it's zero.
$0.
That's good.
Complete.
That's the thing I would take.
Yeah, completely privately funded. So good work on the city's part. So the
Sixers actually looked at that deal and said, I would have taken the more expensive one.
Yeah.
I think paying more money for that is actually good.
Is there anything we can trade for it and then pay it?
Real.
So the Sixers put out a statement. This is per Kyle Neubeck. I didn't see the Sixers issue the statement, but per Kyle Neubeck, we were proud to put forth a proposal for Penn's Landing centered around equitable economic development and growth. Our project aimed to be part of the solution while delivering a world-class experience for our fans and the city at large. We are grateful to the DRWC for their dedication and commitment to this process, especially through an extraordinarily difficult time for the city of Philadelphia. As we consider to pursue our future home, we remain committed to a vision that anchors a world-class venue with transformative community development, job creation, and economic empowerment for low-income and minority communities, even though they weren't building it in a low-income or minority community. And then I guess Kyle asked a team source whether they were still going to look in Philadelphia, and the response was, they will continue to explore options in Philadelphia for a future home.
God, they are so full of shit.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That whole thing was just written by a bot.
Yeah. So an emailer wrote in, and I'm sorry, I didn't write down the emailer's name. He said, are you sure? Like, he said, the Sixers must have known that they weren't going to get this. They publicized it so everyone would see that they were trying to keep the team here. And did we play right into their hands because now they're going to move it to New Jersey and now they have an excuse? And
I mean, fuck them.
Yeah. To that, I say New Jersey's not that far away. Fuck them. If that's what they're trying to do. If they're like, let's look like dickheads and they thought this would make them look good, I don't know. Who cares?
Just if they want to be even more hated.
Right.
Just you know how to get your fans on your side is to move them out of the state.
Right.
Like, just remarkable. It's easy for me to say since I'm not there. But go fuck yourself. Like, don't hold the city hostage for $800 million.
No.
You absolute miserable pieces of shit.
That's almost $1 billion they were asking for. Yeah.
It's 80% of $1 billion.
This is a math pod.
It is now. I was thinking, I was doing some thinking, and obviously we keep talking about Scott O'Neil and how nobody's fired. Did you say someone was maybe out?
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
That is per Keith Pompey. That the quote was something to the effect of, I didn't read the article. I'm sorry, I just saw a screenshot and everybody talking about it, and then everyone adding Alex Rucker. And I do feel like some sort of positive responsibility that we've brought Rucker and Cohen's name to like the forefront. I feel responsible for that in some way. But he wrote,
it should be everybody.
Yes, it should be. Well, but there's only a couple that matter. I don't know if any scout should go. I don't know if they're
the chefs.
No, the chefs.
I want the chefs out.
He wrote something to the effect of multiple sources say that they do not expect him to return next year.
So just him
was the response, and that was
unacceptable.
Sort of what I had heard. Well, no, I think it could be just the start. I was pretty sure he wasn't going to be back. But remember, and I think I brought this back in the other pod, there's no way they're just going to fucking fire any of them. They don't do it. They never do it. Ned is an NBA front office or an NBA office plant, so they're not just going to fire him. And Scott, if they get rid of him, they will just wait till he gets another job. They don't fire people here, except for Brett, the nicest out of fucking anybody that's worked here. But Rucker seems to be the first domino.
For what it's worth, I heard the thing I heard about Ned, and everybody loved him coming into the Sixers. Mm-hmm. But since I forget when exactly he came in, Colangelo was still here when he came in. Mm-hmm. But since things shook out, I was told he's basically in his office playing solitaire. Just like nobody's listening to him. He's not empowered in anything. Just like playing out the string. Do
you remember when he got here, because he was a dork, we were like, maybe, hey,
we had to latch onto something.
New hinky. And
it was just like a baby looking for a nipple. We were just like going after that thing.
Within 3 hours, his poor wife's Instagram turned private because we were getting wedding pictures sent to him.
Very bizarre. Really smart private decision there. I was thinking earlier this week, is this the worst moment in modern Sixers history? Let's say since the 80s.
So it's funny you say that. Amos Lee has sworn, he of the intro song, has sworn never to watch the Sixers again. He actively hates the Sixers, I think more than us. And he listened to the last pod and he said, now I don't remember the last pod being sad at all. I remember laughing through most of it. But he said it was like the saddest pod in years. And I think it might be because you have lost hope. Like you have been the guiding light to anybody with hope. And it does seem like this has been a sort of like a reckoning for you. It's not positive. And I think like it might even be as negative as the most negative people are saying. That's my like I've
right now.
Yeah, like I think I've always been like, obviously not always, but for the last few years have been on the negative side, like thought of like worst possible outcome all the time. But for the first time, I think that the worst possible outcome is within grasp. Like it's a pretty negative time, especially given the context of having Embiid and Simmons. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, as far as possibilities go, this is better than it was, forever, really. Like, honestly, since like 83. Like, in the early 2000s, even when they went to the finals one time, like, things crumbled pretty quick. So the hope was limited that this was building a, sustainable winner here.
Who would win a 7-game series, this team or the 2011 team?
This team. It's not close. This team, like,
it's pretty close.
No. The 2011 team fucking sucked. It's just frustrating because of how many things they got wrong over and over again, and the expectations of what it could be, and how financially tied they are to players and people that like clearly don't work, and then just getting swept by Boston, as Boston is. And I'm DVRing it, so don't tell me if you see. I'm not one game away from getting to the conference finals, where they will play the Miami Heat, the guy that just left for and when they had him, and it was fine.
And you decided you're happy for Jimmy Butler because it just sort of shoves the fist up the Sixers' ass more.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. Yeah. I mean, like that was a complicated decision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really blame them for. We talked about it a couple podcasts ago, but I don't blame them for picking essentially Ben over Jimmy and thinking that they could build that out.
It would have been
for longer.
Yeah, it would have been a hard decision to not pick that one for
sure.
anyone. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. But they traded a lot for him and then let him walk after basically half a season, and then did a similar thing to Tobias and then maxed him out, and then saw those guys and said, okay, well, we have Tobias, we have Ben, we have Embiid. What's the one more thing we need to financially tie ourselves to? Let's get another lumbering, slow shooting, negatively dynamic ball handler. And so I think just you put it all together, and I agree. I think Sixers Adam, who, and I want to circle back to this, I believe is currently breaking a news about someone having a burner account.
Yeah, I texted him about it. It's nothing that important.
Okay.
I saw his tweet and I was like, I'm about
John
to...
Gonzalez just sent it to me, and I'm like, my burner sense is that's the only thing I care about. My favorite team is someone having a burner account.
Yeah, I texted him and I was like, hey man, I'm about to record. Could you tell me what this burner thing? And it doesn't seem like it is anything we have to worry about. Yeah.
All right, great. But I think I'm more optimistic that like a few moves, 1 to 2 moves, and then things look a lot better. But just forgetting about that, just like how the weight of the disappointment and how this front office remains intact under the, watchful, friggin', I don't know, $500 button-down shirt of Scott O'Neil.
French cuffs.
French cuffs, baby. I was thinking, like, obviously you and I don't think that the 3 bad years of process were anywhere close to as frustrating as it is for this. I could argue trading Moses to Washington when he had 3 or 4 more great seasons than him. I'm sure had I been alive at the time, would have been absolutely infuriating. I think my dad sort of passed on that anger to me, so I still have it. The Bynum year was tough.
Yeah, that was bad.
Just the injury updates that never like quite amounted to anything.
I think
and just
that was
kept
worse. I think
that was really
worse.
tough. That was tough on my emotional state as well. And I believed in the Bynum trade and knew that even if it didn't work out, then you could tear it down, and that's what happened. So it ultimately was fine. But in that year where they were just like, hey, this guy that we got that we think might be the guy kept coming, not yet. That was tough. Trading Barkley was tough, but they were already bad.
Yeah, that was the end of the line. That was the way this is going to be in 2 years.
Tough. And then I guess you could argue drafting Sean Bradley, but his first few years, like obviously he wasn't great. He obviously was not what they expected, but like you look at his stats and he wasn't like a total stiff.
No, everybody knew. It was like you could do that with Sam Dalembert too. And be like,
but Sam Dalembert was pick in the late 20s.
Yeah, but I guess I'm saying like you could if you weren't there, you could look at the numbers and go, oh, he put up some numbers. Sean Bradley was a fucking stiff, and everybody
for
knew
sure,
right
absolutely.
Yeah.
But Sean Bradley, his professional career is better than Jahlil Okafor's professional career.
We'll see.
I don't think it's close.
Well,
Bradley at least protected the rim,
but
blocked some shots.
Okafor's career, I can't believe we're discussing. This is so tough.
This is where we are.
This is so tough. All right, I'm getting off of this. Because we have other stuff. Okay, so Jimmy Butler's in the conference finals. I'm not litigating what I said about Jimmy Butler. I believe the exact same thing about Jimmy Butler. So I don't know what else to say.
You planted your flag too deep. You can't get out now.
But I still don't think he's the best, like the primary offensive player on a championship team. I don't. So I don't.
But what happens if he is?
Then I would be wrong.
What happens if this season he gets the championship and
wrong.
is the best player?
I've been wrong before. Everybody's so like weird. Like Twitter. So I have officially like there's no more Twitter for me. I will tweet out links to this pod and respond to the occasional nice person. But like something happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I deleted every old tweet I had. And when you do that,
since starting with when?
Like forever. Like, I think there's some from 2009 because you have to delete them 3,000 at a time. Like you can't just wipe it. There's no button in Twitter that allows you to wipe it.
Did you pay money for it?
No. Well, it's like $4.99 for a month of this service that will do 3,000 of them at a time. So what you have to do is, like, Twitter only caches tweets for like 3,000 of them. So you have to delete the 3,000 and then wait an hour or something for more to come back, and then you do it again. But like my thought was, like, in general, I'm like, well, I tweet in the middle of games. What could I have said that maybe looks weird or out of context or whatever? And I was like, I don't want to be tied to this anymore. Tweets are not meant forever. I'm gone. And after I did it, when they're all gone and you don't get, like, all your likes are gone or whatever, you kind of wonder why you're doing it in the first place.
For the likes.
Yeah. So like, when you separate yourself from, like, that currency, it's sort of meaningless. So I woke up one morning and everybody was mad about some innocuous, like, Phillies tweet or something. I don't ever say anything negative about the Phillies. I was like, fuck this, I'm done. So, like, so the Miami Heat win, and of course, like, Heat Nation goes to dig for my tweets and they're gone. And they're like, they think that I went back and just specifically deleted every tweet that I had about Jimmy Butler, and that was it. And they're like, you can't make the past go away. As if before Twitter, when you said things, they didn't
count.
Yeah, they didn't count. I don't know.
Count.
I still think that exact thing, but, like, I would have no problem if he won a championship, and I would be wrong about it. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. All my correct tweets are gone too. So, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I have complicated feelings about Jimmy. I wanted him here. You maybe didn't feel this as much, but I definitely wanted to run it back. And it should have happened. And it didn't for a bunch of reasons, but, like, Jimmy's a frustrating guy for a bunch of reasons. He's very good. I wouldn't say that, like, if I'm building a championship team, he's the first guy I get. Or even top 5 or 10.
And he was really disruptive here. No matter what anybody says, he was disruptive here. Like,
But wasn't the problem here, though? Not for Jimmy. Jimmy's
both.
Disruptive a bunch of places.
Yeah,
it's both,
yeah,
right?
it was
like
both.
Things are not going good here, so, like, for him to not be
Correct.
disruptive means, like, okay, he's just going with the flow of this, like, poorly run organization.
My point always was, if you are who you say you are, you can help fix that, not just, like, throw a match on it. And he threw a match on it, to me. So that is the difference between, like, a real leader and what Jimmy thinks he is. So,
Yeah.
So, like,
my only concern is that Embiid's going to see Jimmy do this well and then even be more pissed off
he
about what
tweets
could have
about it
been.
every time.
I know.
So,
but yeah, I don't know. We're in such a bad place. We're just such a dark. I just want to, like, get this season over with. If it ends up being a Clippers Celtics, I might delete my Twitter and also myself off the planet. But I just want to, like, give me the draft, get me excited about some things. Let's get some friggin' trades up in here. Let's fire some people. Let's just, like, get a move on to get us out of where we are.
So they delayed the draft to mid-November, which makes sense because
the
finals will go into middle of October. Speaking of Embiid, we have a contest to give away, if you're watching on YouTube, a pair of these Embiid ones signed by the big guy, and we'll tell you about that in 1 second. But before that, we have to tell you about our sponsor. Don't have to. Happy to tell you about our presenting sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. If you gamble, there's during the shutdown, we had, like, ping pong and, like, what else? Weird Korean baseball and soccer and all that kind of shit. Football is where it's at. That's where the DraftKings app explodes. It starts Thursday night is when football starts.
Yeah.
And to kick off football, DraftKings Sportsbook, the number 1 rated sportsbook app in the entire App Store, has a special for you. They're going to give you 100 points if you bet on Kansas City. So the spread becomes Kansas City plus 100. That's right. And you don't even need to be a new user. A lot of times they have these good specials for new users, but no. This is for everybody. So go to DraftKings Sportsbook and then look for this special, and you get Kansas City actually plus 101. So it's Kansas City plus 101. No brainer. Easy bet, free money. And while you're at it, I haven't done any live betting since basketball came back. I have to do that again. I had a lot of fun knowing when the Sixers would lose. It was like the only bonus when the Sixers would lose. I'd be like up 8 in the first. What are the Sixers? Minus 220? Come on, buddy.
Free money.
Plus, DraftKings is giving away up to $100 million in prizes to anyone who enters their free football survivor pool, which I did. All you have to do is sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, enter the survivor pool, and you instantly get a share of up to $100 million in giveaways. Download the app, use promo code RTRS to take advantage of the no-brainer offer plus 101. That's promo code RTRS to get in on all the action for a limited time on DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay. So I got to tell you, when I got a pair in the mail, which don't come out until September 18th, of the Embiid ones, I'm not a sneaker guy, so I don't know what looks cool. I mostly just look at the internet and they tell me what looks cool. But these look really cool in person. I think like it's different when you see Embiid size to see what they look like on a human or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the Embiid ones, we called them the process ones when he was on. That's wrong. The Embiid ones come out September 18th in the United States. And we have a pair to give away. They will be in Joel's size, and Joel will sign them for you. Pair of Embiid ones.
That's pretty good. You remember that interview when we felt good?
It was so good. It was so good. It was the last. Yeah. Boy, he got the Ricky bump, huh? The Ricky bump might be fake. Is the secret. Anyway,
Korkmaz took it with him.
If you want to win the shoes, and thank you Under Armor for giving us, and thank you Joel for giving us a pair away, go to rightsrickysanchez.com/Embiid. Enter, tell us in 100 words or less what the process means to you. So go to rightsrickysanchez.com/Embiid, fill out the form, and we'll pick three. You want to pick three finalists and let the people vote on the winner?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll pick three finalists. You have until September 18th, the day the shoe comes out, to get your entry in. Then we'll pick three finalists and give the pair away. So thank you to Under Armour. And if you don't feel like going to our website, you will be able to enter the Corner 3 newsletter. Comes out tomorrow. Actually, I'll tell you what. That's going to be the first place. I won't even put it into a visible link yet. On the you'll have to click through on the newsletter. So
get the newsletter.
Go to
voice of a nation starved for competent Sixers management. Alonzo Jones.
Yeah, Alonzo's Corner 3 newsletter. You have a chance to win the Zoe shirt. We'll have that in there too. You have to open the email to be registered for that. We know who opens the emails. That's how creepy the fucking internet is. The Corner 3 newsletter brought to you by Stateside Vodka, Philly's #1 craft spirit, handcrafted, distilled 7 times, and certified gluten-free. Now, I know somebody's going to ask, what I have here in the Stateside glass, it's watered down, but they did make a limited edition black label bourbon, which I don't think is in stores anymore, but Clement sent me a bottle. So, but the vodka is available in Magnum size for football season, which is coming up, 1.75 liter bottles. Fine wine and good spirit stores. One of our listeners in Maryland said that it's down there. It's also in Delaware, or you can go to statesidevodka.com. And
I still haven't gotten mine. I look forward to having it.
Oh, really? They said it would take a little longer for you. I'll check. I'm
excited.
And they'll also deliver in the Philly 5-county area, statesidevodka.com. Please drink responsibly. Okay. We haven't. Billy Donovan. What do you think?
Not interested.
No,
just not. I mean, first of all, I'm going to say this forever. God bless the Thunder, man. A top 20 protected pick that we got 21. Unreal that this happened.
Yeah.
And then the team did not want to give up that pick. They did not want to be this good. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Danilo Gallinari, SGA, just willed it there. So I appreciate Billy Donovan. I appreciate all of these guys.
Well, and by the way, I don't know if I was reading about it. Apparently, part of this was they said that this separation was really amicable. They're gonna tear it apart because they don't want to pay these salaries with what's going to happen.
Right. Well, there's just very little path forward to really contend in the West for them.
Right.
There's so many teams that are going to try to win next
And
year.
they have so many picks.
So they may as well try to just like commit to that. They already have SGA. I don't think he's
They're going to do the process.
I love SGA. I think he's great. They're doing the process.
Oh, so jealous.
but already have
The picks.
some piece in place and a lot of picks. So for them to finish 21 and then be like, "Fuck, we finished 20. We should have just done this earlier." But had a fun season out of it. Got to get to the first round and
by the way,
take the Rockets to 7 and really could have gotten the second round if one different thing happened.
and they rehab. They basically get picks to take on CP3.
Chris.
They rehab his value, and they're going to get value for CP3 now. Too.
Right. Maybe from here. Maybe
We don't
from
even
here.
have any value.
Maybe not. I'm interested to see where they trade him and who would want him. But I kind of think Golden State.
What?
I kind of think Golden State.
What?
I think it's some combination of Wiggins and like the second pick.
What? Are you
And
crazy?
then they just flip it.
No.
Yeah, I think that'd be very cool. That'd be a very, very interesting thing.
Milwaukee got to fucking man up, and that's their only chance. They have to trade for him.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what Milwaukee has that Oklahoma City would want.
Would you just trade Middleton for him?
But then what would Oklahoma City want with Middleton?
He's what, 29, and he's good. I don't know.
I guess you could do a 3-teamer that could send Middleton somewhere else. It's interesting. I love Oklahoma City. I couldn't appreciate them anymore. One of the very few rays of sunshine in this horrible, horrible season that we got the 21st pick. But Billy Donovan, I just think you look at what, he got to the conference finals in his first year there. They go up 3-1 with Durant and Westbrook against the Warriors. Warriors come back to win, and he hasn't gotten out of the first round since.
Well, but obviously obviously did a good job this year. You have to give him credit.
Yeah,
for
but
it.
like, how could you make up a team that's more different than the Sixers as far as style? They played their whole deal was that we play 3 guards and just move around fast and pass the ball and swing it. Like, this couldn't be any less than that. Steven Adams never touches the ball inside.
Friend of the Ricky, Billy King, really likes Billy Donovan. He mentioned him to me like 3 weeks ago. He was like, if OKC lets go of Billy Donovan, the Sixers should get Billy Donovan.
I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Al Horford's coach in college at Florida.
Most Spates' coach.
Where they ran, Spates' coach, but most importantly, where they ran like a 2-big offense with Horford and Joakim Noah. But that was so long ago. Like, what are we doing? Billy Donovan is, to me, there are like 5 or 6, maybe I'll give you 10 good, legitimately good coaches, and then there's just a bunch of people that are fine.
Yeah, and like think, 4 or 5 bad ones.
I think Brett is fine. I think Billy Donovan is fine. I don't think either of those guys. To me, they're like really very similar coach types. Like, there's quotes from Durant and other people about how like they weren't held accountable there. Like, it's the same. It seems like it's the same stuff, that they're just like, oh, this guy I've heard of. It seems like hiring by people you've heard of again. I'm not interested in that.
Speaking of OKC, KOC reported today, the worse O'Connor, of course, the Ricky has the better O'Connor, the only good O'Connor, Mike O'Connor, wrote in a column today about the Bucks that the Sixers, I don't even know who's discussing it, if like
they're taking a hard look.
Yeah, the Sixers have seriously considered or discussed trading for Chris Paul. Now, we brought this up before. Man, it just seems like a disaster to me. It makes all the sense in the world from like a basketball standpoint in a perfect world. And I don't even think they would have anything to trade for him, honestly. So I think there will be a better offer somewhere. I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree that there's going to be a better offer for them. When they were good and potentially like, hey, they could kind of keep rebuilding this thing on the fly like Houston did, and rebuild around SGA and use those picks to like keep infusing talent and see if they hit one and never actually get really bad, because that market in OKC maybe wouldn't stand for it. Who knows? People say that stuff, but people said that about Philly, and it's like, well, we did, and the team didn't go away. When that happened, I was like, maybe they would do something like Steven Adams, or like Chris Paul. Steven Adams for Al Horford is something I was like, well, Steven Adams can be our backup, and then he'll walk, and if they don't think they can get anybody else, they at least have Horford to stabilize and play pick and pop with Chris Paul and stuff. So I was hoping that would happen, and maybe Chris Paul for Horford in like a Matisse or like N21 or whatever it is, but I don't think they have enough to do it. I like Chris Paul. I think it'd be really interesting with Embiid and Simmons. It obviously could go very bad, but there is no track record of any person coming to Philadelphia
Getting better
when they're old and staying good.
Yeah.
There's none.
Yeah, it goes
like 32. Maybe you could get a couple here and there, but anything older than that, like nobody, forever. And I just can't. I can't take that risk.
Yeah, I just don't see the him and Ben thing. Like, look, honestly, like I say that I don't want to be like Ben protector guy. I'm just being realistic. Like Ben can go screw with like the doesn't want somebody else to have the ball thing. Like I fuck off. I'm over it. But if you're gonna have him here, like I don't know that you can have somebody so ball dominant. And by the way, and by the way, a guy who wears really thin really quickly. He's like the Mike Keenan of point guards. So
I would much rather do like I don't even necessarily need a Chris Paul type point guard here, although I would like to draft one and develop one, whether that's like a Tyrell Terry type who's a freshman out of Stanford, or Malachi Flynn or whatever. But like there are like even a guy like Eric Gordon, who's not a point guard by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a guy who can shoot threes, get to the rim, and defend. And not a perfect player by any means, but like a bunch of those kinds of guys who can just do a lot of, like, there's not, like, look at the offense that Houston runs. They're not doing another specific one, but like they're not running traditional point guard sets where like Ricky Rubio would be operating the offense and you need like a Jeff Teague or whatever it is, or Brevin Knight. Like there's not Andre Miller. Like you don't necessarily need that. I would like just some guys who can dribble and get to the rim and make quick passing decisions. If that's a point guard, great. I'm not saying I don't want it, but I'm saying just get multiple guys who can do that kind of thing. Because in transition, you want the ball in Ben's hands.
I would take one. You and your sum.
I would take one.
I would take one.
But I also wouldn't mind if it's like if they're like 10th, 11th man is just Neto again. He's friggin' fine. I think he'll probably go somewhere else, but he's also a guy that's just fine.
Big Barker Therapeutic dog beds have sported the Ricky for a while. This is the processed pup patch. It's designed by our guy Tanner. If you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, bigbarker.com/Ricky, you get the Big Barker dog bed, which is the only real dog bed on the market, proven by the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine study. I guess it's not proven, but it's basically proven. To really make your dog healthier. It supports your dog in a way that other dog beds don't do. I saw on Facebook, Big Barker has this video ad where they have people like in a park laying on a regular store-bought dog bed and then a Big Barker. And the people laying on the store-bought like shitty dog bed all say the things that we've been saying on the commercial for years now. Feels like you're laying on the ground. Doesn't really feel like a bed, feels like a blanket. And then they lay on the Big Barker and they're like, oh my God, this is like a real bed. I mentioned University of Penn Veterinary Medicine did the study. Improvement in joint function, reduction in pain, reduction in joint stiffness, improvement in quality of life, all proven. So go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, bigbarker.com/Ricky. Get your Big Barker dog bed. It's more expensive because it's better and it lasts longer. That's basically it. You care about your dog or your cat even, get them a Big Barker. They're called big, but they have little ones, Barker Jr. up to the giant one. It'll help prevent arthritis and like keep your dogs' joints from getting creaky. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, they will give you a full refund and pay for the shipping, and it's handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. I have got... there's only one thing before we get to the mailbag I wanted to get to. So AU had us put together a very AU at Billboard sort of article. What was it? What did he title it? I wrote the
50 moments the process died.
No, that's what I have it written as here as. He called it something else. I want to
where it all went wrong.
Yeah. The 50 where it all went wrong for the process. Top 50 moments where it all went wrong. And there were a few in there that I had forgotten about. And instead of, I don't want to quibble over the rankings or anything, but there's one I wanted to bring up because it just made me laugh. And that was when Brett Brown started Mark Kelfoltz in the first half and JJ Redick in the second half.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't just one game. No. That was like, here's what we do.
It was the plan. Yeah.
Poor Brett, man. He had to just contort himself in so many different ways to just survive every day.
And then the other thing is I'm looking at the signings of the 1 year, Gerald Henderson, Jared Bayless, and Sergio Rodriguez. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, man, we talked ourselves into. I had two thoughts.
That's straight up just like Brian Colangelo's fantasy team, like week 9. Like all of his wide receivers get hurt, and he's like, I just need to fucking sign some. Yep. Okay, Gerald Henderson's always there. He's fine. All right, I guess Sammy Watkins, I guess, is fine.
The two thoughts I had was, I can't believe we talked ourselves into these guys. And then the immediate next thought was, would all three of these guys have been the best guard on the Sixers?
No, not Bayless. And Henderson's pretty mediocre. I never hated Sergio. I don't recall hating him, and he definitely would have been helpful to this team for sure.
He was slower than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Lorenzo Brown mailbag, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. This one comes from John. I've read so many articles and listened to so many podcasts, heard so much radio with everyone saying that Ben and Joel are top 15 players. We need to keep them. If you sit down and list the top players in the NBA, are they really top 15 or even top 30? If you were starting a team from scratch, would you pick either of these guys to build a team around? I get that the players we have in our team, so we almost have to think that way. But in terms of trade value, and if other teams would want either of these two players, I think it's a very legitimate question. Okay, so he has a list. The first list is clearly better players where the other team would hang up the phone if you called and offered them one for one. LeBron, Giannis, but tell me, you stop me, because there's a couple in here I don't agree with. But
yeah, same.
LeBron, Giannis, Butler.
I don't necessarily agree.
Well, LeBron, they're not trading. LeBron's better than...
No, I was stopping you at Butler.
Oh, okay. I think they might trade Butler for Embiid. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's all team context, so it's different.
Not
but
right
if we're
now,
saying,
they're not.
Yeah, there's all sorts of kind of things. But if we're saying, like, where would you rank Jimmy Butler on a list? Where would you rank Embiid on a list? I still probably would put Embiid higher.
I don't know. Durant, Kyrie.
Mm-hmm. No, not a chance.
Kawhi.
Yeah.
Paul George. Come on.
Same tier, Embiid and Paul George, I'd say.
Harden.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook. No.
Not a chance.
Yeah. Lillard. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, come on. Booker. The Suns would not trade Booker for Embiid or Simmons.
I mean, it's context. It's different. It's weird. If you were starting a team, would you start with Embiid or would you start with Booker? I'd start with Embiid.
No, you wouldn't. You start with a center who misses 25 games a year?
Yeah, I would. I think he anchors your defense and automatically makes you a top 10 defensive team. I think you can have Booker and be bad like the Suns have been for his whole career.
Okay. Anthony Davis.
I think Embiid's better.
But they wouldn't trade Anthony Davis for Embiid. I mean...
Maybe.
Doncic.
Yeah, I mean, for the future, for sure. I think Luka's better, yeah.
Donovan Mitchell.
Embiid's better.
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Zion. No, come on.
Embiid still, for now.
Ja Morant.
Embiid.
Jamal Murray.
Embiid.
Jokic.
I think people like different stuff, but if you're going to have a center that's ball dominant, or that does a lot, he has to be able to play defense. And they take him out from Mason Plumlee. It's like, come on, guys.
Klay Thompson.
such different players. I would start with Embiid.
Draymond Green.
Embiid.
Yeah. Tatum wins.
Decline to answer.
Jaylen Brown, I would take Embiid.
Yeah.
I would take Jalen over Simmons. Jaren Fox.
Embiid.
The real question here is not Embiid. It's Simmons. And I understand his question about would you start a team with, given Simmons.
I think there's still a lot of these guys on this list that I would start a team with Simmons. The question is, can you build a team around Ben and Joel that works? And they had one, and then they tried to do too much, and then they tried just the opposite of every instinct anyone's ever had, Costanza style. And now we're left with this. But I definitely have always thought, and still continue to think, that a competent front office could build a really good team around Ben and Joel without really much difficulty.
They had one. So
they had one, yeah.
All right, this one comes from Ryan. Hi, Spike and Mike. Basketball question. I've received some pretty rock solid intel that Adam Silver is buying a summer home in my area.
That's a basketball question.
Yes, this is the basketball question. This is not Kasabi Adam Silver. It's a real Adam Silver. Yes. I will leave out the actual location, but let's say it's an area where there are no other Sixers fans.
Huh.
One of the things that has apparently drawn him to the area is privacy, since most people around are older or otherwise clueless to his disastrous reign as NBA commissioner.
Sounds like a North Carolina, maybe a Maine or something.
Yeah, maybe Maine. This could be in New England. Yeah. My question is, if and when I run into him next summer, what is a quick thing I could say to him when I walk past him? Short and to the point would be best, I think. Hopefully you two haven't let time make you too soft to say that I should leave him alone. Otherwise, I may have to direct this question directly to Mike Weber's DMs.
I think that you should do that anyway.
Yeah, he has to know.
So much.
Don't you just say hinky?
Yeah, I mean, or just like you ruin the Sixers. Like,
yeah,
Colangelo ruined the Sixers.
Yeah,
you ruined. Like, it's your fault.
Yes. Or you could have that poem I read about him, that Live Ricky.
Yeah, just a quick 45-minute poem as you're walking by. Maybe have to walk next to him for a little bit.
Non-basketball question. Where would you get a vacation home if money was not an issue?
Oh, man. I would love to, and I'd say that it's, half the states in the West are on fire right now, which is fucking insane. And LA is a lot as well. But since I live by the beach, I would say I would want something with like a lot of greenery and like a cabin and some type of like nice, but not like too naturey. I'm not like a bug guy at all.
Yeah.
So give me like a, I would like something in like a, like somewhat rural, like Oregon or like a Montana, maybe like a Colorado, something like that.
Yeah. I love Oregon. I've decided, even though I've never been there, that I want to live in Woodstock, Vermont.
Okay.
Seems like a nice place. And also, what about Lewis Beach, Delaware?
How about Lewis Beach, Delaware?
Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process, sold a house to an Adam Silver, but not the Adam Silver. He is your realtor, not just in the Delaware beaches, but that's where he specializes in. If you need a realtor for anything, if you need a realtor, if you need help refinancing, you need some realtor advice, Kasabi's your guy. If you want to buy a beach in the Delaware beaches, any of them, which you really want to do, it's not overpriced like the Jersey Shore. The property taxes are like $1,000 a year, as opposed to the Jersey Shore, which is like $20,000 a year.
Really?
It's fucking really different, like way different. So you get the house in Rehoboth or Lewis or wherever, you rent it out most of the summer, you go to it for a few weeks a year, that basically pays your whole mortgage, and you watch, like I always say, you watch your wealth grow. If you can afford it, now's a great time to buy. Interest rates are super, super, super low, like talking like 3% interest rates. So if you've been thinking about it, whether it's Rehoboth or Lewis or Dewey or Bethany, or if it's not even in Delaware and you need help, Adam's your guy. Call or text him 302-864-8643. That's 302-864-8643, or email adam@processrealtor.com. Super good guy. And we've heard just excellent things from everybody who's used him. So Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process. I thought this one was pretty apt from Andrew. Spike and Mike, I've been a huge fan of the pod for a while now. However, I have been regrettably inactive in the community until this moment. I want to talk about Robert Covington, as it is painfully obvious now that he is exactly what the Sixers need, and they should have always trusted him to develop into this kind of player. Watching him succeed and be a key player for a true contender hurts badly. However, I can't help but feel our memories of him as a player can be skewed by a slight memory bias. I scoured a list of formerly recognized biases to find the one that fit this situation best. And I fear we may have a case of rosy retrospection, which Wikipedia defines as the remembering of the past of having been better than it really was.
Oh, you keep going.
Well, so when I think of Rocco, my mind immediately jumps to a loving memory of my girlfriend and I sneaking down to the lower level of Wells Fargo to watch him sink an alley-oop game winner against the Timberwolves in 2017.
Which we played for him at Xfinity Live.
Yes. Oh, God, what a great moment. The crowd went nuts again. What a fun time that was. That was one of the happiest moments of my life, forever cementing Rocco. And by the way, he had missed like 700 straight threes to that point, forever cementing Rocco as a beloved player in my mind. But if I think harder about it, I can remember there being plenty of bad and frustration mixed in with the good and loved. For example, after he signed his contract that same season, the remainder of his Sixers career was plagued by shooting inconsistencies and the frequent 0 or 1 from 7 or 8 shooting nights. I can also remember loving his ability to create off-ball turnovers on the defensive end, but being horribly angry when he was a turnstile who couldn't keep the opposing team's best defender in front of him and would get called on Matisse-like foul for getting handsy instead of moving his feet. Yada, yada, yada. He's wondering if he is alone in this.
I think that's the assumption about Rocco. I don't think anyone thought that he's the best player of all time. He's a good but not excellent shooter who totally creates havoc off ball and frequently got blown by smaller guards. And you're seeing exactly that in the playoffs. Right now, he's hot from three. I think he's developed his off the dribble game a little bit. I think he's developed as a passer. He's certainly developed his ability to cover big guys inside, although he always kind of had some of that. He's better now. And he's hitting shots right now, which is exciting because I love him. But in both series so far, the ball handler, whether that's Chris Paul or LeBron, has been asking for Rocco on switches because he doesn't move his feet that well. And so I really think that's, you described him as like what people think of him as.
Well, he's on a better team now.
Totally. And also just the fact that we got him off the scrap heap and then got signed to a big contract that was also still very team friendly that's why, when I think of Covington, if we drafted him first overall, I'd be like, he's not good enough, whatever, like that is. But it's like the expectations of where we got him and during the time that we got him feels like he was our guy. I mean, he was one of the true gems of the process, and not that he was a perfect player by any means.
Yeah, I think something happens when you watch all the games of one team.
Yeah,
and when you watch a player who's not on your favorite team, and when he screws up, it doesn't hurt.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
it's totally different because you can when you're watching for a team that you're rooting for. Anytime a player on another team does something good, you're blaming the defense for it.
Right.
Rather than if I'm watching, Nuggets Jazz and somebody does something good, I'm like, what a play by him. Like, I'm not thinking about like, oh, fucking Torrey Craig sucks. Like, I'm not thinking about that. And so it's very, very different. Like, I've seen people, we've talked about this before, when you watch, Josh Richardson on Miami versus, or like Tobias on the Clippers. Like, when you watch different guys, and then they come here, you're like, okay, this is what he's like here. This is what he's like when you're watching him every single play and counting on him every single play. I've seen like Celtics fans like say shit about Jalen and be like, he's not able to keep, be this guy on this high of a level. And there's plenty of guys that do that also on other teams. Like, oh, I thought they were good. But that's why I think that's part of what, I don't know why I'm saying this, but like the invaluable service that we give to opposing fan bases who listen to this podcast. You have I think some fan bases or some people that watch their teams are like just truly fans and they have no like discerning opinions and criticisms, which I think is weird. But what we do is we're like, no, here's what he's bad at. It's actually he's not as good as the numbers indicate, or actually when you watch him, it's like different or whatever. And so I think that's what you get from people that like are so locked in on one team and all the guys there.
3-point shooting to me is the best example of this, because in our minds, we know that 40% is a good percentage from three. When you watch the player play, that means he is missing 60% of the time, which is like can be infuriating, which seems like he's never hitting it. And like I would always point out, like most 3-point shooters are streaky. Like when you look, even Steph Curry, the bbest shooter of all time, when you look at like his monthly 3-point shooting splits, he'll have 1 month where he shoots 52% and 1 month where he shoots 30%. It's just kind of how it works. But when you're watching every game, it just it hurts more, you know, like that's it. It just
and also like, you know, you think about JJ missing at like big moments,
every big moment.
Yeah, and so that, you know, those leave more of a mark and stuff. I do think, and I think Rich Hoffman's been on this for a while, I do think that they should have a category for heaves, like that would not affect your regular field goal percentage or 3-point percentage, so that at the end of shot clocks and stuff, you can just like throw one up and hope it goes in and know that it's not going to like fuck with your percentage. I think guys would still shoot it anyway, but
to me, that's how you determine who's the team player and who isn't.
Sure.
TJ was not a team player one year. He shot every. We'll get him back on. Maybe we should get him back on this offseason.
TJ's having a kid.
I saw. Congratulations, TJ.
Come on,
TJ and Valerie.
That was nice.
And they announced it on their 3rd wedding anniversary. Yeah, congratulations, TJ. I think it was his last year here. Every heave was a second after the fucking clock ended.
A lot of guys do that. They time it out so nicely. It's impressive.
And then his non-basketball question: would you rather be able to travel double your normal human speed, but have to crab walk everywhere you go, or travel half speed, but get to float slightly above the ground everywhere you go? Wow. In this hypothetical world where all humans are either fast crabs or slow floaters, which race becomes the oppressor and which becomes the oppressed?
What a great question. I think the fast crabs would be the oppressor.
Yeah.
I think speed would allow them to corral. I'm also thinking of them as crabs, so they're pointy.
Yeah.
Would I rather do? How much can you float? Like sit slightly above the ground, so that doesn't really give me much.
Yeah.
I'd
what
probably
advantage
rather
is
be.
There? You don't step in puddles. I mean,
I guess you're a little bit taller and you kind of can look cool in sort of a Back to the Future type of way on a hoverboard. I feel like I'd go double my human speed. I'd be very, very fast. I'm pretty fast as it is, not super fast, but like pretty fast. And so I would double human speed. I'd be doing something athletically. That'd be cool.
From Brett, I'm gonna skip his whole lead up, but I'm basically going to get into, and he wasn't being a jerk about it, I'll just say that. He said, would you trade Embiid if the right opportunity presented itself? What is an ideal trade if someone comes calling? I think the Warriors number 2 pick this year, Minnesota's pick next year, and a 2026 first Golden State Warrior protected pick and Wiggins for Embiid would be a decent offer.
No.
I wouldn't do that.
This isn't the draft to do it.
What?
There's guys I like for sure, but what are you doing it for? What's the plan?
You're not resetting. You have a bunch of players on max deals.
Totally. Yeah. I would rather say, like, let's set. I don't think it has to be this, but this is what the front office should be thinking about. Like, what is our window? And maybe you look at it and you're like, all right, we got Tobias. That's the contract. So we got Tobias for 4 more years. Let's plan a 4-year window right now. And if after that 4-year window, we still have a healthy Embiid and him and Simmons are coexisting and things look good, whatever, then great. But let's assume that right now this is a 4-year window, and after that, we're going to tear it down or pivot or rebuild or try to do something. Whether that's a full rebuild like the process or just like trading Embiid or Simmons for a younger guys that are still good but not quite there. And so I would just go all in for those 4 years because I do think, I know we just talked about this, but I do think that Embiid and Simmons have top 10, top 15 player potential, and they're not going to get there in 10 years. They're going to get there within the next like 4 or 5. And so I would really take that seriously and I think the Sixers know that, and that's why they've been making like panic moves for the past 3 years. But I would do it in a more holistic, like, let's not sell the farm in the future, but knowing that that's eventually in like 7 or 8 years we'll probably be on a downturn. So let's go in here and then be able to pivot into a nice rebuild afterwards. So I wouldn't do it now because I don't think that trade does anything for me.
I wouldn't do that either. I mean, I would listen to any trade for anybody.
I would listen.
Yeah.
If you told me like we could get, I've been talking about Bradley Beal a lot, but if you could tell me we get Bradley Beal for Embiid, and then we can just go sign someone, not Steven Adams now, but toast.
You can't sign to anybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you could trade Mike Scott for a contract that's, you could trade Mike Scott for somebody, or you could just trade him for non-guaranteed money and have enough cap space to sign somebody. Like Daniel Tice is the starting center for an Eastern Conference Finals team.
We never signed those guys, though.
I know.
We paid $30 million.
But you could. Everything I say is under the hypothetical world where we have a competent organization. It doesn't take like, I think Embiid's great, and there's absolutely trouble in building around a center that is like, that wants the ball and wants to post up and stuff. But Embiid is good enough that you can still do that. But if it wasn't Embiid, you can get like just decent like defensive anchor center play of guys who just set a screen and rim run and know exactly what they're good at and what they're not good at.
How much we're going to pay Tice? I know we're over the cap, but I wonder just how much. And the non-basketball question from Brett: besides the Sixers, what is something that you irrationally hate for no reason? Mine is the entire state of Ohio. Ohio is a wasteland of the American dream, so I hate that place. Anything you hate?
There's definitely answers. You go first.
Well, I hate Bruce Springsteen. I hate cucumbers. I hate celery. I hate watermelon. I can't think of something that I just hate. Like, I would say Springsteen is the closest to that. Like, Springsteen makes my stomach turn. And I can think of reasons why I hate him, but it's really just a reflex.
Yeah. I mean, I hate Eric Garcetti.
But
like,
you have a reason for that.
Yeah. I guess for no reason. There has to be a reason. You hate Bruce Springsteen for some reason.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would say that like the reasons came after hating him, like, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I hated more in the past, and I know this is weird to say because we're on a run of me being like, cripplingly depressed about the Sixers and wanting chefs to get fired and stuff. But I said this to Sharp, like living with Sharp for a year allowed me to have a little bit more like, who gives a shit? Let people like what they like. Like I don't judge as much as I used to about that kind of thing. I don't like college football. Just don't.
I don't like.
Not for me.
I don't like college basketball, but I know why I don't like college basketball. So
I love college basketball. Love it. I also don't like soccer. I'll watch a women's World Cup and sometimes the men's World Cup if they're in it. But for the most part, I just couldn't give a shit. And I muted some like soccer terms on Twitter because fucking
every Saturday
Kyle Neubeck or like legs is like ascend on.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is that? Who gives a shit? You can like it. I don't want to see it.
It's a Saturday morning Premier League.
Sam Vecini just analyzing someone's midfield or whatever the fuck. I don't care.
So
Get out.
For some reason, I don't even know if this is a person or a place or if it even exists, but the tweet that always pops up into my head is Drogba and like 4 exclamation points. Like, is that? Is that a person? Is that a team?
Yeah. That's why I know that those people exist that are just like tweeting like Tobias in all caps, and people are like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what this is. What are you talking about?
After.
And so that's why I provide context.
Right.
That is important to provide context to like, hey, if you don't know what I'm talking about, now you do.
Real quick, Alex asked why the owning the arena is a financial benefit for owners. It's all the suite money. It's tons of suite. They don't get any of the suite money in the Wells Fargo Center. They would get all the suite money in that place. it's not a question. It's a ton of
And
money.
food and beverage, right?
Well, yeah. Like they get everything. They get all the licensing from there, and like it's the parking deal, whatever it is. It would be enormous. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah. If I could say I could say one more thing before we go. Yeah. I saw that Philly and Jersey, and also now parts of around LA are opening up indoor dining again. Please don't go dine indoors.
Well,
please
wait
don't.
a minute. Hold on.
Please don't. Go pick up. Order pickup. Order remotely. Pick up all you want. Tip well. Absolutely.
It doesn't employ people the same way. I would tell everybody to do what they're comfortable doing.
And I'm telling them not to do it. Workers do not have paid leave. They're being, if they don't get paid if they are homesick or have symptoms or come in contact. Order pickup. Tip very well. But
you're not tipping anybody. It's not employing anybody. You don't know if it's safe. Mike's not an epidemiologist.
It's not safe. This is what we opened up indoor dining in LA, and then it exploded for months and months. Just order pickup.
Every place is not
or sit outside. Or sit outside if you want. If you want to sit outside, fine, sit outside. I don't do it, but I pick up a lot. Don't order indoors. It's a pandemic. They call it a pandemic for a reason.
They call it a pandemic because indoors. It's overseas. That's why they call it That's what a pandemic is.
It's not safe, dude. You don't need to be eating indoors. You don't need to. You can eat at home. Pick up, eat outside, whatever. Don't go indoors. Don't eat it in someone's place. Don't get people sick. This sucks.
All right. I'm going to offer the opposite thing and say if you're comfortable eating indoors, go ahead and eat indoors. Do it in a place that is following all of the guidelines, which is, I think, 25% capacity in Philadelphia, and wearing a mask when you get up from places and 6 feet away from any table. So
and I would say the opposite. Okay. Eat at home. Your home is fine.
Okay.
This sucks. Why are we doing this still? I hate this shit.
All right. We'll talk to you this weekend. After you have either eaten inside or not eaten inside. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you. If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you! Time for plan B.